3, 2, 1, jingle! Happy time has just begun. Brother, sister, smart, dumb, fun. Yeah!
Oh my gosh, there are so many of us right now. I'm like, look at this. It's like the Brady Bunch. It's like the opening to the Brady Bunch. You're like, hey, what's up, you guys? Hey, what's happening over there? You know. Except we have a better theme song. Well, not really. The Brady Bunch theme song was epic. Who am I kidding? So, good job. Look at Kelsey getting down there. Yes, you guys, you're not seeing in quadruplets. There are more of us today. That's right. The brother sisters are here. Anna Janice Brothers, and we are joined by our super special guests, Liz Henk and Kelsey Shoemaker, who have much to contribute today to our trashy episode today. So, yay, right on.
Our super trashy episode.
You might also notice that it is not Sunday today. It is Wednesday. That's right. In order to accommodate our guests today, we're doing a super special live show on Wednesday, and then our episode will drop on its normal Sunday night on Spotify, the YouTube. What is it? Spotify, YouTube, all those other stuff that we're on too, right?
Yeah, iHeartRadio.
Yes, that one.
It's fancy.
Yes. Fancy, yeah.
It is super fancy. You don't even know how fancy this is. So
Yeah.
we are. This is a technological marvel that you guys are witnessing right now. So
Very impressed.
So we're creeping up on the 4th of July. Happy July. We have survived June. We are going to July, which is the Tuesday of months of the year. So happy 31-day Tuesday, everybody. And there you go. So I don't know.
It's a little sweaty.
July is just one of those months. It's a little sweaty. Yeah, it's we've already had a kind of a warm one when it comes to this summer. It feels like it was warm. It's already been warmer this summer than it was last summer. I could be right.
Yeah. It feels like it.
I have not looked at the data. So there you go. So yeah.
You
So today,
science
you guys.
people.
Yes, because we need evidence to support our ideas.
You do.
It's true. We're here on a Wednesday. We are with Liz and Kelsey, and today we're going to be talking about the Karen Reed trial, and we'll get to all of that, what it's about. We've got some fun facts. I don't know, anything where you're dealing with murder is not necessarily fun per se, but we got that going for us. So we'll talk about that, we'll get into it. Now we've got 8 questions for the two of you today. I'm not sure how you want to answer them. You can answer. You can take turns. We can assign questions. You tell us how you want us to work that, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and do a share screen real quick because we got to get started on this stuff. So there you have it. All right. So let me do a share on that. Send. Share. More sharing. There we go. Awesome. All right, can you guys see that? Can you guys see it? There it is. All right. Yep. That's right, you guys. We are the brother sisters for the second time ever. We are kind of dabbling in the true crime stuff. So here we are. Ann, you want to do our intro today?
Be happy to. So we're talking about the Karen Reed trial with our true crime experts, Liz Henk and Kelsey Shoemaker, or is it Shoemaker?
Shoemaker.
Okay, Shoemaker.
The boring way.
She's making the shoes. Yeah,
she's making some shoes. Yeah. So we're going to do that today. Right. But first, we want to welcome you back to our podcast. We are Ann and Janice Brothers. We're sisters and our last name is Brothers. We just had to market it. You know, you can't let that go by.
We're in America. We're capitalists.
We're in our 50s. Generation X, which means we speak in pop culture references because we were raised by TV and VHS. So Jenny and I were definitely latchkey kids, which we loved. Man, I loved being a latchkey kid. And almost everything we talk about comes with some sort of movie or Simpsons reference or some sort of pop culture reference. We can't seem to think for ourselves. Somebody else funnier said stuff, and so we copy it. Thank you. We talk about exactly. We talk about.
And do you have a favorite pop culture reference?
Oh, you know what? One that I pop culture reference all the time is from Aliens, where the little girl says they come out mostly at night. Mostly. So we do that all the time. Duncan and I were like, oh, it happens mostly at night, mostly. But I do that all the time. I'm like, that's usually my go-to is that, again, Aliens. And I saw Aliens on VHS. So there you go. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
How about you, Jenny?
For Joe and I, all of our pop culture references come from the movie Hot Fuzz, which is an English comedy. So yeah, the greater good. The greater good. Anyway, Kelsey, your pop culture reference, go.
Anything from The Office, as Janice knows.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I do find myself often saying, that's what she said.
Yes. I like, a good, like, I'm not superstitious. I'm a little bit stitious. If anyone's ever going to the dentist, I always go, oh, Dr. Crentist. The dentist.
Oh boy.
I could go on for days. Janice doesn't always understand my. So
no, I was not I was not a lover of The Office. So then I get a stern look and a lecture about I should be watching The Office. So
you see, but that right there, then and there, Kelsey is obviously not in her 50s.
Right.
Also true.
I am not.
Right. Liz, what about you?
I do have to say I've never seen The Office either. So, but I'm also closer to 50. Anything Friends, and then probably the one like just quote from Pretty Woman. No, but it has potential. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
Nice. Sorry, I interrupted you, Anne. Continue.
Oh, well, as you can see, we talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff, or any combination of the three. Jenny and I, we're not cool, hip, or sexy, and we know this because we sweat ugly. When we exercise, it is not pretty. It's ugly, drippy, sweaty. We do not glow. We are we are sweating like the proverbial pigs that don't actually sweat. But yeah,
we were moving my parents to their new abode.
That's what made me think
Thursday.
of this, Jenny. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and it was so miserable. Just not just in terms of heat, but the humidity. The dew point was in the like 76 on Thursday. It was stupid. And yeah, at one point I looked down and the sweat was running down my legs like somebody was pouring water down my legs. It was gross.
Exactly.
It was gross.
I told Jenny that I was so sweaty. I came up with a new smell. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to sell my underwear on Fans Only, and it's going to be called Sweet Stink.
I hear that's lucrative. So
that's what I was like. Yeah, this is it. Middle-aged, post perimenopause woman sweating through her underwear. Highest bidder.
Yes.
So anyway, again,
she went
not
there.
cool, hip, or sexy. We're not a celebrity or influencer podcast, but today we are a true crime podcast.
That's right.
Yes. We've been told we're good to listen to when you want to learn things about stuff. And because it's almost time for another family gathering with the 4th of July coming up. And we want to give you something to talk about. And talking about, some true crime and Karen Reed, that is way funner than a lot of other things. So you got those weird aunts and uncles. Something to talk about.
More fun than fireworks. We're more fun than fireworks. So a lot more fun. And cheaper. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
Hey.
So this podcast is not PG or even PG-13. And just because I want you to keep this in mind, folks, just because you're a bitch doesn't mean you're a murderer. So I think that's really the theme of today's podcast. So there you go. Join us on our website, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, and of course YouTube. You can follow us, hit the bell, leave us a review, participate with our questions and answers and our polls. And hey, Alexa, play us, and she will, or Alexandra or Anita. I don't know, somebody with an A, Adrian.
I really wish that the Alexa Silver actually existed.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Because,
Me too.
Yeah.
It'd get a lot of use right now, Jenny, in your house.
It would in my household. Yes. Yes, it would. Okay.
We should write that on the refrigerator. Buy one of those chalkboards. It says, her name is Alexa.
Alessandra. Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. Well done, Ann Brothers. That's right. You can support us for free. You don't have to pay anything. So which is nice because things are expensive. We have not been affected by either tariffs or inflation. You can support us for free by liking, subscribing, following, leaving a review on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Put the word out, share us, tell your people that we're a good way to waste an hour. So there you go. That's right. There's many things you can do to waste an hour. Why not waste it with us? You might learn something. You will learn something. Whether we've been saving lives now since 2020. So there you go.
Not all
All right,
heroes wear capes.
That's right. Thank you, Kelsey. That is correct. Sometimes we wear axolotl t-shirts and drink old fashions while we're working. So yeah. So but not like working for real, working at this. So and shall we talk about something smart, dumb, and fun that happened this week?
Yes. The smart thing that we did this week was Jenny hired Good Foot Movers to help us move our parents this last week. And they pulled our bacon out of the fryer very early on because we had two sets of movers. Good Foot Movers was our second set of movers because they usually don't go that far south in Michigan, which is to Sturgis, where my parents lived. And our first set of movers totally practically ghosted us. They did not. They finally got back to us, but there were no shows. And it was a very miserable morning, but Jenny made some calls to Good Foot Movers, who were our afternoon movers, and they came down to Sturgis and loaded up all the rest of the stuff in the U-Haul. Man, I was so happy when they said they were coming. I almost started crying, but I had sweated all my tears away.
There's nothing to cry.
There was nothing to cry. I had no liquid left in me. I kept drinking stuff. It didn't matter. Just as soon as I drank something, it came out of my pores. So, but I mean, they were Good Foot Movers. If you have to move, hire Good Foot Movers. That's all I have to say.
You can
awesome.
reach them, so they are a preferred mover with U-Haul. So if you're looking for them, go to the U-Haul site, click on their homepage. You'll see a bar up on their bar that says movers or moving help. Click on that, look for them. They are the greatest.
They really were.
This is actually the third time we've worked with them, and they continue to get better every single time. I mean, they were great to start with, and they've just gotten better and better and better. If you're doing any sort of moving, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're moving from one destination to another. It could be just that you're moving, stuff around your house, and you need some extra hands. They're awesome. James and his guys are really fantastic. So
yeah,
hire them.
Yeah,
say nice things about them. Yeah.
I read your review, Jenny, because I was looking them up today, and I read your review. I'm like, oh, that's my sister's review, and it was glowing, and they're great. So that was the smartest thing we've done in a long time is continue to hire Good Foot Movers to move shit.
Yes. So that was part of my smart dumb fun was also Good Foot Movers and also dragonflies. I was noting a dragonfly in my yard the other day, just this big, beautiful bluey green dragonfly. So I looked up a fact. Wanted to know something about dragonflies. Dragonflies have been around since the Permian age, which is approximately 250 million years. At one point, some of the fossil record shows us that some dragonflies had 3 foot to 5 foot wingspans, which is toit. And also, when it comes to predators, dragonflies are actually the most effective predator on the planet in that they have a 95% success rate when they hunt. So whatever they choose to kill and hunt, they are successful 95% of the time. Birds of prey are usually only about 20%. Dragonflies are 95%. 95%.
Damn, they're like the valedictorians of murder.
They are. And we didn't know that. We were like, oh, they're so pretty in this. But I'm like, nah, man, they are effective at murdering. So good job, dragonflies. It just felt fitting if we're going to be a murder podcast today, then let's talk about the most effective murderers in the animal kingdom. It's the dragonfly. Hooray!
That's extremely impressive. 95%. Dang.
95%. I know. All right.
I feel like I'm in your science class, Janice.
That's right, you are. Every day is my science class. My world is my science class, Liz. Now you know.
I'm aware. Appreciate it, though. I appreciate it. Always learning.
Okay. Tell us something smart, dumb, or fun that happened to you this week.
Well, something smart that I did was I had somebody on Friday come and drain my hot water heater because it was starting to leak because I was going out of town. And so I did that thinking that I was good to go because I was getting a new water heater on Tuesday. And then I came home at 9 o'clock on Sunday and my basement was flooded. So the smart thing well, I guess it wasn't a dumb thing, but I learned that even draining your hot water heater, something can happen. So yeah,
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah,
fantastic. Good way to continue on with the summer.
totes.
Yay.
It makes you appreciate the time in your life where everything is not flooded. So,
Mhm.
Well, and it's a hot water heater. I never look at my hot water heater, so I was actually surprised I even saw it kind of leaking. So again, I thought I was being smart, but apparently I was not.
you're still a good person.
And it's dumb that it flooded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good.
Well, I appreciate
Was
you saying I'm
there-
still a good person. So,
Okay. Was there anything fun that happened other than that?
not getting up at 5 a.m. to go to school.
Oh, that's the funnest, isn't it?
Mhm.
It is.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous because I keep thinking that I always think to myself, 4th of July is kind of the halfway point, and I feel like
Stop
we've
it.
flown to 4th of July, and I'm like, what is going on? So, but,
See, I have a completely different. Like the hard part of my summer is kind of was this last week. So I'm like, dude. Now I'm like, I've just done like all these fun grace items. Like I built my bookcase and I put up my dinosaur light, and
these science dinosaurs.
yeah. It's very interesting because my friend Sam came over. She's somebody I worked with. And my parents moved in with us, so that was the big thing. All this moving is because my parents moved in with us, and we've tried to make sure that they get places for all their stuff. And so Sam walked in, she's like, "Wow, you have a real grown up house for the first time ever." I'm like, "Yes," and she's like looking at the decorations and she's like, "Oh, look at this nice thing. Is this yours?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Look at this nice thing. Is it yours?" I'm like, "No, it's my mom's." So what we determine is like anything that looks kind of classy and adult is my mom's, and anything that looks like it came out of a 9-year-old boy's bedroom is mine. So it's got like dinosaurs and lights and all that sort of shit that I didn't have when I was 9 years old that I can now have as an adult woman.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's a lot of dinosaurs in my life, including this lamp right over here, this light that's right up here, and the bedspread that I just ordered. Let's go.
Nice. Love that.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
All right, Kelsey, smart, dumb, fun, go.
Okay, smart and dumb. Have we heard of the little contraption called the bug thing?
No.
No.
Okay. So
Do tell.
Oh, boy.
it is this little contraption, and when you get a mosquito bite and or notice that you have an itchy mosquito bite, you place it on your bite and you suction it,
Oh, I've seen something
and
like
it
that.
stops it from itching. And what's dumb is that it actually works, because what a simple idea that someone
How
is
do-
10 bucks a pop.
I
How
think it
do
was
it
on
work?
Shark Tank.
It was on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
I don't know. Suction?
How-
At first I was
how-
like,
how
no.
work?
I mean, think about it. When you get a mosquito bite, the itch is localized right to where the bite is, so it doesn't spread, and it just like sucks it out of your pores, question mark. I don't really know, but it works. I
Doesn't
don't
it
know.
kind of look like a syringe?
Yeah,
like,
kind
you
of
gotta
like a
pull it?
flat
Yeah.
syringe.
It was on Shark
Is
Tank.
it
I'm
like
pretty sure.
is it like an anti-inflammatory thing? Because the itch comes from the inflammation, right? Right.
I don't know. It's a strong suction. It works. I was like, no way. My kids told me
That's
about
what
it.
she
I'm
said.
like, absolutely not. Right. But it does. It totally works. I just used it today. I had a little itch on my ankle and sucked it right out.
Say the name of this
Crazy.
thing again. The bug what? What's it called?
The bug thing. That's what it's called. The bug thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you
I
guys,
just-
you
I just
heard it
want you to
here
know.
last. You heard
Yeah.
it here last on the Brother Sisters. The bug thing.
The bug
Go
thing.
spend you $10. Go
Uh-huh.
get the. I usually just put some hydrocortisone cream, but now I don't have
No.
to. Now I can do something
No.
that's completely awesome.
My son loves it so much. He gave himself a hickey on his cheek, and then thought that wasn't good enough, so he did one directly in the center of his forehead. So he was looking pretty sweet with that circular bruise right there. So
Boys,
At least it wasn't on the neck.
you know, or other places. Who the heck knows? I don't know.
Yeah, awesome.
yeah, exactly.
And
Don't put.
and
Huh?
do you remember when Paul Bird?
I was
gave
gonna
himself
say
a giant forehead
giant
hickey?
forehead hickey. That was
He was
That was
messing
awesome.
around with half a racquetball and he stuck it to his head, and one of his buddies pushed it onto his head as hard as he could, and he couldn't get it off. So then one of our friends pried it off with their fingernails, and when it popped off, it was a completely perfectly circular,
Nice.
dark purple head hickey. It was the greatest thing ever in the
I
history of
love that.
hickeys. So,
And being Gen X, we were merciless.
and that was like 30 years ago. I'm like, hey, Paul, remember that? That was amazing.
Remember that, Paul? Because that was amazing. I just came up with 5 new things to make fun of you about, so let's go.
Yes. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was a spirited round of smart, dumb fun things that happened this week.
So
I
let's
love
talk-
that.
Let's talk Karen
Fun
Reed.
thing. Okay, so let's get to this. We burned through 20 minutes of our time. All right. So the Karen Reed trials and why. So let's start with this. Karen Reed she was accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, and the prosecution tried to prove that she hit him with her car. So before we move into that, let's look at some facts real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and drop these facts onto the screen here.
Mhm.
Boop. And here's some facts. Facts number 1. The case involves the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. And that is a really interesting thing right there, because the fact that he was a cop really sort of changed the dynamic of this case, in my opinion. Okay. Second piece. Karen Reed was his girlfriend, not his wife, his girlfriend. They charged her with second-degree murder. The next was that the prosecution said that she backed into him and then left him for dead in the snow. Because the night this happened, they were having a massive blizzard in Boston. The second trial just ended a couple of days ago, like a week ago. The first trial ended in a mistrial, so the prosecution retried her within a few months, and this case has sparked widespread public interest and protests on both sides. You've got Team John O'Keefe and you have Team Karen Reed. So that's just sort of your background on this case. It's interesting. So what we're going to do now, we are going to take our true crime experts through this series of questions, because this became this thing that we talked about. I work with Liz, I work with Kelsey. This became this, and you got me started on this. We were painting the bathroom in the house, and that all of our breaks revolved around the HBO documentary. And I knew nothing about this case until Ann Brothers got me started on this, and then it was like, couldn't stop watching it. Our breaks got longer and longer. That bathroom probably should have taken us half the time to paint, but we're like, we need to watch more Karen Reed.
More Karen Reed. What's going on with Karen?
More Karen Reed. All right. So we're going to start with this question. This is for both of you. So what first interested you in this case? Liz, we'll start with you, and then we'll go with Kelsey.
I just think a lot of I am big into pop culture. And so like just seeing some stuff on social media. And then one of the guys that I follow on Instagram, he was just 100% in it. Like he watched the trial every day and would recap it. And it just totally it got me going again. Like I watched some of the internet stuff on the first trial. I didn't get that much into it. And then all of a sudden with the second trial, just kind of that social media, pop culture thing. And then just listening to him and just kind of getting blown away by some of the things that were happening.
Excellent. Kelsey?
Yeah. Well, you told me about the HBO documentary, and then I started watching it, and it's what piqued my interest or kept my interest, I guess, is like the evidence or seemingly lack thereof. I don't know how they get second degree murder from that. Like,
right?
What
I
are
know,
we?
Right?
What? And she's just like seems awful, like
She's
just awful. Like,
Yeah.
can I at least put something different on? I'm gonna be on camera. Like, oh, lady, you just like are not helping yourself. But the evidence, I just don't feel like the evidence is there to convict her. Obviously, the jury didn't either, right? But like, I'm still trying to understand, because I feel like they don't bring charges when they have more evidence. But then with her, they brought these charges, and I didn't feel like that was warranted. So
You're also the
Uh,
forensics teacher at school, so you're
yeah.
Yes,
right up your alley.
Kelsey teaches forensic science, which is, basically murder science. So, yeah, I could, I could see your interest. And what about you? What got you started on this? I mean, we established that you got me started on this.
Right. Well, what got me started on it was like Karen is an unpleasant woman, and I love it when unpleasant people are. I shouldn't say I love it. I just find it interesting that how quickly people are willing to find somebody guilty because they don't like them.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
so I was very
Totally.
interested in this because I felt right away, I'm like, oh, she's an unlikable person. Is
She must
she
be a
being,
murderer.
yeah, is she being pursued because she's unlikable or because she's a murderer? And so that's what got me right away. I wanted to find out why. And it seemed very, very evident very quickly that she was being pursued because she was unlikable, not because she was a murderer. So I wanted to see how this case turned out because I thought if she ends up getting convicted based on their evidence, then it's a travesty of justice, really, because she got convicted for being unpleasant. It's like, let's be honest, none of us want to have lunch with her. She is, but like I said, just because you're a bitch doesn't make you a murderer. And so that's what hooked me right away. It was like, this woman is unlikable, and that's why she's being prosecuted for second-degree murder, not because she's a murderer. So I was curious to see how that would turn out. Mm-hmm.
And she made me want to have lunch with her because like I want to hear what she says. Like I'm just like because I don't really like her either. I think she comes off really bad, but I'm like
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to have a conversation with you just to like see like you not with a camera in front of you or in front of all these like crowds of people chanting your name, just the 2 of us, just to see what she says.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she just
So
spew
that
crazy
leads
all
to,
over my club
Oh yeah,
sandwich.
I think it would be very entertaining.
That leads us to a very important question. If you could have lunch with Karen Reed, what would you eat?
A club sandwich.
Okay, Anne would eat a club sandwich. Liz, what would you eat with Karen Reed?
I don't know, maybe a hamburger. I don't know.
I was gonna say a
Oh,
good
good.
old American bacon
Yeah.
cheeseburger or something,
Yeah.
or an olive burger. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of a standard question. I'm like, if you could have lunch with anybody in the world, what would you eat? Okay, good. All right, that brings us to question number 2. Why do you think so? Murder trials all over the place, all over the country. Why do you think this one went viral? Kelsey, I'll start with you this time.
Well, I think in general, it's a good conspiracy theory is always fun. And that was really like the defense's kind of take on that, right? And I also think like she's a villain, unlikable. But there was clearly bias, like Anne was saying,
Ooh.
she just is really unlikable. I also think like she's a white woman who's affluent, and so that's why people cared, right? There's like plenty of wrongfully pursued not affluent white people that end up in similar situations
Jail.
and no one gives
Yeah.
a shit, right? So yeah.
Excellent. Liz, what about you?
I think the conspiracy theory, everybody gets into conspiracy theories. Like, I think everybody's always like entertained by that. So I think that was a big thing. And I think it's just people get really upset when they think that there's like wrongdoing or a cover up. Like, if, there's all this stuff going on behind the scenes and, I think they gave some evidence that there was a little bit of a cover up. There's a lot of questions out there that I don't think were ever going to be answered. And I just think people kind of rallied around her thinking that she was just getting screwed. So I can't. I was surprised at how many people like were outside the courthouse. Like, I mean, when it like got national attention, I mean, these people were coming from all over, like just hounding that courthouse every day. So she hooked the nation some way. It wasn't because of her personality, but
yeah, she had a great PR. Like her social
Yeah.
media campaign was top notch, man. Like I don't know who was in charge of that, but they deserve a medal from her.
And it doesn't hurt that she got a 3-part HBO documentary out of this. That
Right.
did not hurt at all. Because that I was going to say that brought me to the table for sure.
I think she had to pay for her defense.
Oh my God,
I mean,
she's been paying for that for a while.
She's in debt.
No.
They said that her first trial was $5 million.
But
Whoa,
apparently,
what?
I just looked at this today. She only paid about $2 million of that, and then Alan Jackson he boot scoot and boogie right out of that law bill for her. So they're trying
Oh,
to.
wait, whoa. So wait, 20-second, Tio. You're saying that
Uh-huh.
Alan Jackson, the country and western singer,
No,
paid for her?
No, this lawyer.
her head lawyer's name is Alan Jackson,
Oh, phew.
I was
which
like,
I can't not think about
What?
boot scoot and boogie, right? Like,
Totally. I'm like,
why
wait a
are we
second. Are
not
we talking
doing
about the
more
country
with
western
this?
star?
Yeah,
What the
wrong
hell?
reference, Kels.
Yeah, I don't. I just every time I'm like boot scoot and boogie, but no, he
Wow,
apparently
good
has.
pipes.
Thank you, thank you. Forgiven her debt, but he is also helping her get a book and movie deal. So
Yeah,
I'm sure he's going to recoup some of his money from
Oh,
that.
yeah.
yeah,
I
because
heard she's
honestly, I
getting.
might actually buy that book.
Oh
the
yeah.
thing is, I kept thinking during when I was watching the documentary, I kept thinking, I was like, it's a good thing she has resources. And that's the thing that I kept running back in my head. I was like, this is a woman with resources. Because if she didn't have resources, they would have railroaded her into some sort of
Oh.
manslaughter charge and she would have gone to prison. But because she has the
Absolutely.
and the thing is, like, she's not the type of person I want to hang out, but she is physically attractive. So she was attractive and she had resources. Otherwise, we wouldn't be hearing anything about this case.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, if she had a
No,
public
would be-
defender, she'd be in jail with second-degree murder.
Exactly.
Probably.
Exactly.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Good stuff here. All right, so
Mhm.
let's get to the meat. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of why we're here, and that's this. Do you think she's guilty or not guilty? Defend your answer. And I'm going to start with you.
Oh, I say definitely not guilty. They didn't. I mean, in the first trial, the thing that really blew me away was that the a medical examiner couldn't tell us how he died. I'm like, you can't tell us exactly how he died, and you want me to believe this is murder? If you can't tell me how somebody died, how can you tell me that it's murder? So, I think she's not guilty. I think she drank too much. I think he drank too much and passed out in the snow and died, which is just pathetic. It's like, I think all the conspiracy stuff, I think that was a red herring. I think it was a group of people all acting badly, and the people acting in the house were acting badly, and they didn't want that to get out into the public because they thought if it did, it would hurt the murder trial. Do I think they murdered him? No, but I think they were too drunk to know that he was dying on their front lawn. So no, I do not think she was guilty. I think she had too much to drink. I think a bunch of stupid shit happened, and that idiot died. That's what I think.
Liz, thank you, Anne.
How do I
Strong
follow that?
opinion right there.
I think she's not guilty. There's too many unanswered questions. Like, for me, if he got dropped off and she hit him, people left that house to go home. Like, Jen McCabe left the house because she met Karen Reed at her house. How did she not see him in the snow? Because when they got to the scene that next morning, they saw him. It wasn't like, they didn't make it sound like they were searching for him. The cops never went into the house. They never investigated the inside of the house.
Wow.
The people that lived there, the Alberts, they had just redone their basement, I think like 2 or 3 years prior. They replaced the carpet. They rehomed the dog because the pictures of the arm look like he got bit by a dog and got scratched by a dog, and they had a German Shepherd. They rehome the dog. They move, and they get rid of their phones. So
In the most outrageous way possible.
Right.
It's not like they just were like, oh, let me trade this in.
Yeah.
They like smashed the SIM card and threw it at a military base or whatever. Like, what are we doing?
It doesn't. And as a cop,
Hell.
how would you not know that they're going to subpoena your phone? You were with him.
Had to.
Right. And so, like, there's just way too many unanswered questions. So part of me thinks that there was a fight in the basement, and I don't know if he was killed in the basement, but I think, like Ann said, he was outside and he was probably stumbling around because he just got the crap beat out of him. He was drunk, and he whacked the back of his head on the curb or the ground or something. But I don't think she hit him. Like, when I was watching the interview afterwards, the head not the foreman, but one of the other jurors, who was actually a lawyer in Brazil, she said that they had video that she was backing out, and that taillight you could still see illuminated. And it should have been completely destroyed at that point with the timestamp of the car. So it's kind of like, that doesn't make sense either. So there's too many unanswered questions, and and I feel bad saying this, but I don't think we're ever going to know what happened. And I feel like the O'Keefe family isn't going to get the closure that they need, but I don't think she did it.
Kelsey, thank you, Liz.
Yeah, so not guilty for sure. The evidence is not at all consistent with like her hitting him. I mean, logically it doesn't make sense anyway. What is he just like kind of squatting down and like there was other people that saw her sitting alone in her SUV, and was he just like creeping? That doesn't make sense. But there was no bruising or blunt force impact marks on the front of him, even on his arm. It was all on the back of his head. So that is more consistent with him falling and hitting his head. The taillight, when they said they had it, like when it was in the police impound, it did not illuminate, like Liz was saying. And it was illuminating, like there's photo evidence of it illuminating prior to it being taken into police custody. And the other thing is Alan Jackson, her lead defense attorney, showed there is a door that exits out of the basement of the Alberts household. And from there to where he was found is about 34 steps. His Apple Watch, they have evidence, his Apple Watch recorded him taking about 87 steps and going down flights of stairs.
Oh, so he was.
So he had to go in the house.
Yeah, how did you just randomly have about 90 steps on your Apple Watch and going downstairs? That seems really
dirty. Sketch.
Well,
Go
ahead, Kel. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't think that it was, I think like Ann said, it wasn't like some malicious thing, because the motive isn't there for it to be this like malicious murder, even from her, or especially from her, but from his friends either. But they were doing dumb shit, and I don't know.
So let me ask you this, panel of experts here. What dumb shit do you think they were doing?
I think they were doing drugs. I think they were all drunk, and I think they were doing illegal drugs, and it might have just been marijuana, but I think there were illegal drugs involved. So yeah, that's what I think. I think
so. His autopsy report did not show any drugs, prescription or illegal.
I think other people in the house were probably doing
Absolutely.
drugs.
They were, and I love the theory. Have you heard the theory that they were swingers?
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious.
So funny.
Well, that's why she was mad. That's why she kept sending all those text messages, because she thought he was swinging with somebody in that whole group.
Yeah, she's like, you're a fucking pervert, whatever. Totally. The swinger thing, I think that's gold. Like, I love that. So yeah, I'm sure there was all kinds of weird stuff going on, right?
I think there was stuff they didn't want to get out because it would make them look bad. And I don't think it was anything, I don't think it was anything murderous. I just think it was, I was like, you don't want it on the front page of the newspaper that, you and your wife. You
don't want that the headline for Boston's finest. You're like, is that going to be a show on? Is that going to be a show on CBS? Boston Swingers. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
I think that they got into a fist fight because he had two black eyes, and I think they got they were drunk and they irritated each other. I think they got into a fight, and then he walked out, and I mean, my athletic training brain went into full gear, and I think he might have had a brain bleed or some type of concussion, passed out, and whacked his head.
Yeah,
okay.
all far more reasonable than her committing second-degree murder.
Yeah,
yeah. Give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts on why. What was the prosecutor thinking when he went after second-degree murder charges? Because that was the case in both trials. So give me some thoughts on that.
I have no idea. I would actually like to ask them that question, because I think they thought that they were going to create this love triangle thing and this crime of passion, and she just got mad and just ran over him. But they didn't prove that. So I would like to ask that to them, because I don't understand their reasoning behind that.
Yeah. I didn't either.
Originally it was just vehicular manslaughter, and then they came back and added the second degree, which why? I don't know, because she's a bitch. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
that's it. That's why I think because she's a bitch, and they wanted to show that they were taking this seriously. This death of this Boston police officer, we're taking this seriously, and this bitch isn't going to get away with it. I think that's what it was.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, they
So
killed,
that's kind of where I
they
was
killed one
for
of their own,
question.
and so they had to.
Yeah, they had
Yeah,
to
and
beat
that was my question
Yeah,
as far
go
as
ahead,
why do you
Cindy,
think
sorry.
this case went as far as it did, is that, how do you get second degree murder out of this? And I have no idea why. Yeah. So yeah, and I think that goes back to that what you guys were saying. I think the case went as far as it did because she's an unpleasant person. So
Mhm.
yeah. All right.
And he was a
So let's
cop.
shift the question.
I think
He was a
he was.
cop, and he had adopted his sister had passed away, and he had adopted her two children. So he seemed on the surface extremely sympathetic. It's like, oh, here's this nasty bitch, and he's a sympathetic cop who's a good guy taking care of his niece and nephew. We got to get her. And it was like, and it turns out, yeah, he was taking care. He wasn't a bad. I'm not saying he was a bad guy. I'm just saying that he wasn't. It wasn't it didn't equal second degree murder.
So real quick, how much did all of these people have to drink? Because I think that's a huge contributor in all of this.
So
a
she
lot.
had what, 9 is what they counted, 9 drinks just for her. She claimed she didn't drink them all, but when they tested her blood alcohol, it was like point oh 09
The
is
next
what it
morning.
tested at 9 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah.
So
Dude.
if you just account for, it decreases steadily once you stop drinking, they were estimating her blood alcohol level at the time when she drove like 0.2 to 0.3, depending on how, like, that's
Whoa.
drunk. You're drunk,
That's
girlfriend.
drunk.
Yeah.
Drunk. So 9 drinks over how much time?
I think a few hours.
I think it was like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. And his blood alcohol level was 0.13.
Which is
It's still
significant.
drunk.
That's
You're still drunk, right? Yeah.
Yeah. When you consider that the legal limit federally is 0.08, that's drunk. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you are drunk.
Almost twice as drunk as you should be. So
Yeah.
But see, that's the only strong evidence is a DUI.
Right.
Just by that, I mean, that doesn't mean that she hit him. And I think they just kept going to that. Like, she was wasted, she was drunk, and she hit him. And it was like, you're not proving that. So
Well, and
I was confused because why didn't she get, if that was her blood alcohol, why didn't they just charge her with the DUI right away? Why did they do it 4 years later, 3 years later?
I don't know that they, I don't know. I think that part of it was the judge gave them, the jury, kind of the leeway to say, like, here's the top charge, but you can do these lesser charges, was my understanding of it. Because they kind of went through the gambit of things.
There's a lot of people online that think the judge was part of this whole cover up. Like, she is, if you watch some of this stuff, like I saw an interview with Jackson, the lawyer, and every time the prosecutor filed an objection, I think he said, I had 48 objections against me. The judge sustained all of them. He's like, I have never had that happen in any trial.
Interesting.
And there was like things, the guy that I was watching online that, I mean, he watched this religiously from the morning to night. Like, that's what he did. And he said that she was just so corrupt with some of her decision making, and she'd be like, yeah, we're ahead of schedule, so let's just go home for the day. And like, she would let him out at like noon.
Wow.
And it was just like, okay, we'll come back. And that was it. So he was convinced that she was part of the whole thing. And a lot of people that I saw online were the same thing, that she was just as corrupt as the cops.
No.
Well, and interesting. So for the record, for those that have not followed this trial, she, like I said, she was tried twice. In the first trial, it was a mistrial because the jury could not come to a unanimous decision concerning her guilt. The second trial ended a couple of weeks ago, and she was acquitted of second-degree murder. The only thing she was convicted of was a DUI, so she was given probation for that. So she's not, she won't serve jail time for any of this. So she was acquitted. So let's, with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump to question 6, which was, how was this case mishandled on the part of the police investigation and the prosecution? And if you guys could give some examples, that would be great. Kelsey, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yeah, so the first thing, just from the whole investigation, so when you have, a crime scene, obviously first priority is getting to the victim. Can they be saved? Whatever. But then you're supposed to go through this whole process, right? It's procedural. You secure the scene, you make sure that you're keeping track at least of who's in and out, and then collecting the evidence. And the police were like, "Whoa, well, we were kind of in a hurry and we didn't really know, like we had to do this." But they're putting blood samples in Solo cups and like grocery store paper bags, which, to be fair, you are supposed to package biological evidence in paper bags, so they at least got that one right. But there was no chain of custody. You immediately right there, red flags. Even if there's nothing, going on, even if it's not some conspiracy, you still have to maintain chain of custody. That's like police 101, right? So all of that right there, like not a good start. And then some of the things the prosecution did, especially with the tail light, I found that to be really interesting. That video they showed, and then the defense was like, no, they actually showed this inverted. So he was indeed by the passenger side tail light, because when the when the prosecution showed the video, they were like, no one was by the passenger side tail light, they were by the driver's side. Well, there was text on the other car that was in the impound garage, that was inverted. So the defense flipped it the correct way, and someone was indeed by the tail light. They also kept going back to the scene, which they claimed was like, oh, well, the snow was melting. Well, you got to get everything when you're there, because once you leave the scene, it's no longer secure. There's no validity to that evidence that you're collecting after, because who's to say someone could implant it? So the whole evidence mishandling, huge red flags. Doesn't necessarily mean conspiracy, right? But it brings to mind the Making a Murderer Stephen Avery case, with like the bad securing of the scene, the chain of custody, all those errors. And then, of course, what are people to think? Like, you do this every day, theoretically, even if it's not a murder, right? You have a robbery, you have whatever. It's still the same process. The procedure should be the same.
Well, and that's yeah, that was one of the things that I found absolutely flabbergasting, was when I was watching the documentary. It was a clown show. So for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Liz, give me another example of the mishandling on the part of the police investigation.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I think, and I said this before, is they never investigated inside the house. Like, they never went in. It's like Kelsey said, it's a crime scene. Well, not only was it a crime scene in the yard, but wasn't the house a crime scene? Like, 'cause you
Yeah.
don't know what happened. So don't you want to cover all your bases? And like, even when the cops were all there, Brian Albert, who owned the house, didn't even come out of the house. Like, he didn't like make it. I mean, I thought that was kind of weird. And then what Kelsey said about the taillight finding stuff later, like, they make this initial, investigation, and then 2 or 3 hours later they find like 40 some pieces of the taillight. It was like, how are you just seeing this? And even if she would have hit him with a taillight, I don't feel like he would have shattered that taillight in 40 some pieces.
Mm-mm.
Like, it would have been maybe like a crack or maybe a big chunk, but there wasn't even a broken bone on his arm or his body.
Well, they calculated her speed at the time of impact to be
Right.
24 miles an hour. I'm like, where are you getting that many pieces of taillight from 24 miles an hour?
Well, right. So it's almost
And
like they
without
took a
leaving-
baseball bat to
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Right. And
And
without
then-
leaving bruises on his body, because the
Right.
autopsy report, there was no blunt force trauma on the front part of his body, just on that head. So that doesn't track.
Like, he fell backwards.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, what are both, Kelsey and or Liz, either one of you can take this question. Talk to me about the expert witness, forensic witness from the prosecution.
Go for it, Kels.
The one guy that lied about his credentials.
Oh, God.
Oh, the accident reconstruction guy?
Yeah.
That guy?
That's the one.
What on earth? I don't know. Like, he wasn't even a good. Don't you do like pre-trial like preparation?
Mhm.
I was like, you're not even acting like you know what you're talking about. I don't understand. Like, I mean, it's a little
Hey.
wishy-washy. Anybody can be an expert, but
So here's the follow-up to that,
Do
Kelsey, 'cause I
better.
think that makes a really good point. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Brennan, the prosecutor, he
Mhm.
was Whitey Bulger's defense attorney.
No way.
And
What?
if you got like, I'm shocked because like you got to do your background. Like, and for him not to like have the background of that witness, and for him to be on the
Yeah.
stand and just basically be like, yeah, I didn't do that. Like, it's on your resume, and you falsified it. Like, you lied.
Right. And
Yeah.
he didn't have like there was no scientific backing. Like if you do accident reconstruction, there's lots of science you can involve in that, right? Like there's the physics and there's all this kind of thing. Nothing.
Just
Guys
a
like,
matter of, yeah.
okay.
Uh,
Um, and then Proctor, obviously, like, what a hot mess express with him. I just the text messages, like just his whole investigation was outrageous.
So talk to me about who is Proctor.
So he was the trooper that was supposed to be like the lead investigator.
Yeah.
And he testified in the first trial, and he was sending text messages about like
Called her the C word.
yeah, called her the C word and talking about like how she looked.
She was a hot
sent it-
babe, but she was the C, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Was what did he say? Something about her balloon was leaking, or her anal leakage. He didn't say anal leakage. He said she's got a leaky balloon knot,
Yeah.
which is your rectum. So
He
then,
also said he hopes she kills herself.
yes, and that she
And
leaks
this is the lead
poo.
investigator in the first trial.
Mhm.
Who they did
Yeah,
not
ouch.
call in the second trial.
They
Well,
did
duh.
not, and he got fired. But I mean, that right there again, like similar to with Karen, right? I mean, clearly he was at least minimally incompetent, but it doesn't mean that he was involved in some big conspiracy just because he's an asshole that texts about someone's leaky anus. It just means like it's not a good look, right?
He didn't do
This
his
is not a
job
good look.
either.
Yeah.
It's not professional.
No.
You're supposed to be acting like a professional.
No, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the text messages, God, if I ever murder somebody, I'm going to also destroy my SIM card. I don't even know. The text messages were so bad. They were awful.
Yeah, just watching him sit on the stands when they said, "Did you text this?" Yes. "Did you text this?" Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Like, having to admit that on the stand in front of, it's a national audience now is just.
Well, and it makes me wonder, like, what other cases where he has performed as
Yeah.
badly and just assumed he would never get caught. This is not something that anybody would ever catch him doing. I'm sure it was not the first time that he had done something like that, where he had texted this information to other people and just assumed that there would be no consequences for him. Like the stupid C word will plead on something lesser and go to prison like she's supposed to, and no one will ever know that I'm a big bag of dicks. And
Yeah.
surprise!
I mean,
We all
mediocre
found
white man. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly, mediocre. Yeah, really bad at his job, and it was like,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, you finally got caught. So how long have you not gotten caught?
Right. It's a good point.
Well, and how many people are in jail
Because of that.
because of his incompetence?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leads me to question 7. What scares you about this trial? Liz, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Never date a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, because if something stupid happens like that, I mean, it was just like, how many times have they probably gone out and been drunk and drove home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just sounds
A
like it was their
lot.
crowd. And for her to, do what she did, and then all of a sudden I can say this now because she's not guilty, framed.
Mhm.
I mean, they have a lot of resources to them. And I think that was kind of, I was like, yeah. And you want to believe in our criminal justice system, but, and I guess it came out true, right? I mean, she's not guilty, but having to go through that
Mhm.
and spend all that money, I mean, if that was one of us, we'd be bankrupt forever. Like, we would never be able to get out of that.
Mhm.
You know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, don't date a cop.
Okay. Kelsey.
Yeah. I mean, I just think like that this happens to people, right? And it happens to people all the time. And it's good in a way, bringing awareness to the idea that, like, man, they can really fuck up your life, right? Like, she thankfully had the resources, thankfully for her, but with no evidence. Like, how are we
Mhm.
bringing charges with just like shit evidence? It's like, it's not right. Oh,
Mhm.
it's not right.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think too,
I'll
like
buy
if
that. Mhm.
like that was she was kind of the easy way out, right?
Mhm.
Because like whenever a husband's murdered or a wife goes missing, they always assume
Which,
it's
like,
the
80
spouse.
some percent of the time, it is the.
Right. But again, that other 20%, but you still, like you said, you got to follow the evidence. And the evidence did not show that she did it. Like it
Mhm.
just, there was,
Yeah.
you know, whether, I think the whole question here is there was so much reasonable doubt. Like the prosecution did not show the evidence that said that she might have done it. Maybe she did it. I don't think she did, but maybe she did. They didn't prove it. There was
Right.
too
Right.
much reasonable doubt. There's too many questions. They didn't do their job.
Mhm.
Plain and simple. But it scares you because sometimes they take the easy way out. Like, are they going to look at a case and be like, well, you were 1 minute from, that person, so maybe you did it. Okay, we're just going to go with that.
Right.
So what
Yeah.
about you, Ann Brothers? What scares you about this trial?
Well, it scares me about this trial is that, it's like the cops. I kept saying, I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, cops not doing their job again, are not doing their job. I'm like, unless they're writing somebody tickets or shooting somebody that's unarmed, they don't seem to do a very good job at, and I'm like, I'm being very general, and I'm sorry if you're a police officer, if you have somebody in your life as a police officer who does a good job, okay, great. But I got to tell you that all the interactions I've ever had with the police have never been positive. And I'm a white lady. So, yeah, it scares me that there's this much power in the hands of people who were corrupt, if not, just personally corrupt and lazy. And
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's a lot of power to give to people who are personally corrupt and lazy. And I was like, is this the best we got?
I like that word lazy. That's a good point.
Yeah. So,
Okay,
Boston's
yeah,
finest.
Well, and I think too, I kind of feel bad because there are good cops out there. I mean, it's just like
Mhm.
as a teacher, you always get that one teacher that gets on the news for doing something horrible, and then it gives
Mhm.
all teachers a bad name. Like all
Right.
teachers are gonna assault their kids or whatever. So I do
Mhm.
fof bad about that, but yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, Ann. I agree with
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is, like, I mean, we ruin people's lives all the time, right? But, like, not to the same extent. Like, thankfully
Yeah.
thankfully for her, she was an attractive white woman with some kind of financial
resources. Yeah.
resources, But
And some social media savvy for sure.
She
oh
was
yeah, absolutely.
smart on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she handled that.
Because from
So
jump, she was doing that social media stuff or trying to, do
yeah.
that.
Might as well use it to your
So
advantage.
Might as well.
you might as well. So that brings that next question is, what do you think is next for Karen Reed?
Talk show.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk show
Like
where she,
Kelsey?
Book deal. I think I heard
Book
she's. I
deal.
think what Kelsey. What did you say? A book deal and
She's
like
working
another
a book
movie or
deal and
something.
a movie. She's
Yeah.
working with the, like, producers or whatever of Killers of the Flower Moon, that movie.
Okay.
Which was also a book, which was also a true story, but whatever. Yeah, so she's working with them. So maybe we will get another 3-hour movie,
Ooh.
3+
Well,
hour movie.
It just makes you wonder though. What does she do? Because she used to. She was in finance and then she taught that night classes at a college and that. But like, what kind of job is she gonna get? Like, she's still got to pay all this legal stuff off. I mean,
Well, and I mean, it's hard to, like, go back to that, right? Like,
yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know
they're
how
not
you
gonna
go
hire
back to
her
that. Yeah.
because
people are just
even
gonna
though
take
she's
her
acquitted,
class.
well, or people are going to be like, no, I think you did it, right? Like, because it's so polarizing. Like, you can't go back to a normal life after that.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Okay, so then my last question is, what do you think happens in terms of solving John O'Keefe's death? Do you think they pursue it any further? Do you think they just close the case? What happens now in terms of figuring out what happened? I mean, his family has no closure on this. What next?
Well, I think what his family needs to do is stop thinking that it's Karen Reed. I mean, that's the first thing. If you really want to know what's happened to him, you really have to stop thinking that it's this woman. And as long as they're going to focus on her and think that she's the murderer, they're never going to find out what happened. And the truth is, she didn't murder him. You need to look someplace else.
Well, and they're in a civil lawsuit with her. They started it before the second trial, for endangering him by driving drunk and trauma that she caused to his niece because she woke her up in the middle of the night saying, like, your uncle didn't come home. So they're suing her right now in civil court, which obviously the burden of proof for that is significantly lower. Think OJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Acquitted, found guilty in civil court for liability. So they're just all on that Karen Reed. And I don't think the prosecution or the DA is going to pursue anything else, because
what are they going to pursue?
Yeah,
I don't know.
They can't try her again.
They went through all her evidence and they didn't do a good enough job. There's no, what other route are they going to go? And that's, I think, the one thing I feel so bad about is that family's never going to have closure. I mean, and those two kids lost their parents. The mom died of cancer. 2 months later, the dad died. And then now their uncle took them in and then he died. And I don't think they're ever going to get that closure. And I do feel bad for the family, but like Ann said, it's done. You have to get away from the Karen Reed part of it. Like, you have to now think of it in a different way. But I don't think the cops did their job well enough to go in a different direction, because they were always, it was Karen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I think excellent points. All. If you would like to know more about this, then you should. This is, I would say, a good starter show for you. Is if you'd like to know more, definitely watch your HBO Max or HBO or whatever the fuck they call it now. It's called A Body in the Snow. It's the trial of Karen Reed, and it's addictive. And the funny thing, and when I sat down to watch this with you, my first thought was like, oh, she's obviously guilty because she's a bitch, and that was like my first thought. And then it's like you uncover it. You're like, oh, I don't think she's guilty. Yeah. So there you go. This is a great place for everybody to start with this. It's interesting. I love what everybody said about why this is a scary, and I think that's part of the reason that people really latched onto this trial, is that it's pretty scary, all in all. So, okay, you guys, we are at 1 hour and 1 minute. We are overtime, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's start by thanking our true crime experts, Liz Henk, Kelsey Shoemaker. You guys brought it today. Well done. Kelsey, I could see you going through those notes, fun. Man. You did copious notes going on there.
I got this new highlighter from Target. It was a 4-pack, and they're glittery, so I really had to get into my note-taking and annotating. So, yeah.
That's right.
Oh,
well done. God. Tote bags coming your way for both of you. Let's go. Yes, because as teachers, we never have enough tote bags. Am I right?
Oh, no. You are so right.
I'm totally right. I know. All right. That's well done, everybody. You did it. You survived yet another. That's right. Another hour with the Brothers Sisters, this time with Liz Henk and Kelsey Shoemaker. We talked about smart, dumb stuff, especially the Karen Reed trial today, and why we all, as a panel, agree that she is not guilty and that this was a railroad job by the Boston police. Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys. But don't worry, guys. We want to hear from you. We're gonna simply put this out there as a guilty or not guilty poll. So remember, we'd like to hear from you. Give us your questions, concerns, comments, and
confessions.
Oh, that's right.
The Alberts are going to be on here. Oh man,
that is correct.
Brian Higgins,
that's right.
Jen McCain.
That is correct. And remember, you can support us. That's right. You can support us for free. Again, we are the cheapest date in town. Follow us, like us, leave a review on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Tell Alexa to play us. Tell your friends to tell Alexa to play us. Siri will play us too. BTW. That means, by the way, for those people that are over 60. All right. Join us next week when we talk about moving. That's right, you guys. If you're in the middle of a move, if you're moving anything, the brothers sisters have got you covered with just copious amounts of advice, things to think about, things to consider, and also maybe if you're moving your elderly parents to a new location. Right. Anyway.
This isn't personal at all.
No, it's not personal at all. Not one bit. Not one bit. So with that in mind, you guys, we are going to wrap this up. We know we're going to wrap it up because there's the goodbye music. Again, super special thanks to our true crime experts, Liz, Henk, Kelsey, Shoemaker. And again, you guys, come hang out with us next week. I'm Janice Brothers. With me is my sister Ann Brothers. Get out there, do something smart, do something dumb, do something fun. We are out of here.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
You're welcome.